Hello future tech leaders, I'm Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Today we'll be starting with Objects field, tab and app. Let's start with Object. Before performing that in practical, let me give you an idea like what Object is all about. Let's take an example, like any entity in a system. Let's take an example of a particular school or a particular company. Like in a school we have students, we have teachers. All these are nothing but entity. Like then a student has their own attribute. Like student has name, email address, phone number. These all are nothing but entities. In Salesforce, we call entities as objects. And from a database perspective, objects are nothing but database table. Like we have a table, we have a space in our database where we store student. We have a space in our database where we store teacher. It's a different tables. From a database language perspective, we can call it as a database table. From a real world perspective, we can call it as a real world entity. From a system perspective, from Salesforce perspective, from a technical perspective, that is nothing but an object. In our case management system or in a particular hospital, what all entities can be there, like a patient would be there, a doctor would be there, an appointment would be there. If I open this, I have listed down all the entities like a patient in a hospital, but all things can be possible. Like patient would be there, appointment would be there, doctor would be there. Cases would be there for like patients and then ratings. Any entity in a real world, any entity in a particular system is nothing but object. Say like I am in a hospital. I am an entity for that system. I am for some purpose like I am. I am there for getting services from doctors. Like patient would be there, doctor would be there, like then doctor would prescribe me some medicines, some test, and that all will be captured in cases. Then we have something called appointment. I would be seeking appointment for a particular doctor for a particular time. These all are entities in that system, and that entire system is nothing but hospital. Similarly, whenever we get any details about any system, we have to find out. The first step would be to find out the entities in that system. Like I have already given example for a school. In a school, like what all entities can be there, like a student would be there, then teachers would be there, then like they can say, like admissions would be there for a particular student and admission record would be there. Like for a particular system, we have to like brainstorm and we have to be able to find out the entities, and in Salesforce we capture them as an object. These 5 entities, I would be creating 5 objects. Patient appointment, doctor cases ratings. Let's start with creating very first object, that is patient. How to create objects in our Salesforce? Click on this settings icon. Click on setup. This would be the home page. Like when you will open using username and password, this would be your home page. You have to click here. This is like setup icon or settings icon. You have to click here. That is setup. Now, once the setup screen is open, you can see Equifind here. Just type objects in that objects. We have objects. Click on Object Manager or you can directly click here. Any way that is suitable to you. That is your preferred way. You can directly click here on the Object Manager or you can click here in Object Manager. Let's click on Object Manager. On the hand side, we have Create. Click on Create Custom Object. Click on that. This screen will be open. One by one, let me cover that. Like we have a relevance for each and every field on this screen. First, we have label and name. Like I have label, plural label, then I have object name. What is the difference between label and name? That is very important. If I go back to this screen, I have opportunities, leads, tasks, files, accounts. Everything that is visible here is nothing but label. Label for this object is leads. Label for this object is task. The name that I want to be displayed to the front end user, that will be nothing but label. Let's add a label here at patient detail. Let's make it with S patient details in plural label. The main point that I was covering, like we have labeled, it is not. And many times they will ask you in interviews like, what is different between label and name, and can label be different from name? It is perfectly fine. Like if it is perfectly fine that a label and name can be different. Label is something that is visible to front-end user, but object name is the name by which this object will be referenced by some back-end functionalities. Like if I need to use this object for writing a code. The name that I specify here, with the help of that name, I will be referring this object in the back-end features. It is perfectly fine if I write ABC. If I write XYZ, it can be totally different from label, or it can be same as label. Both ways are fine. Like a label and name can be same. You can keep them same or you can for a particular object. For the sake of simplicity, let's make them same. But if someone asks you, is it fine to keep label and name different? It is totally fine. Let's scroll down. Keep this setting as it is. In this optional feature, we have these 4 checkboxes, very important checkboxes. Let's understand the relevance of each and every checkbox. First, we have allow reports, and mostly we keep all these checkboxes as checked because there are some very important and critical functionalities linked with these checkboxes. One by one, let me cover all these, the relevance of all 4 checkboxes. First, we have allow reports. Allow report means I am creating an object. Tomorrow, I'll be storing some data or some records. Let's say, like I am creating a patient object. Tomorrow, I'll be creating data in that object. Like these many patients we have in our hospitals. I will be storing data in a particular object. And in Salesforce, we have a tool that is a reporting tool. There we play on data, like we add some filters. We sort data like just the way we have Excel. We have a reporting tool in our Salesforce. In that tool, I cannot see data for a particular object unless and until this checkbox is checked. There can be a possibility that I am trying to fetch or I am trying to pull data for a particular object while creating a report. But because this checkbox is not checked, user is not able to pull the data of a particular object while creating a report. Like you are not able to fetch or show the data of that object in a report. If you want to play around on data of a particular object in the reporting tool, this checkbox has to be checked. Like I mentioned, that majority of cases we keep them checked because there are very critical features linked with these checkboxes. But if there is a requirement from client side that we don't need this for this feature, like we don't need to create a report for this object's data, and let's keep them unchecked. In a special request, we sometimes keep them unchecked as well. Mostly we keep them checked because there can be some scenarios where users are coming back that while creating the report, I was not able to fetch the data for a particular object. When we debug, we find out that this checkbox is unchecked. And that was the sole reason for that issue. Some issues like that can be there, and to mitigate that, normally we keep them checked. The next checkbox is Allow Activities. Allow Activities. Activities is again a very important functionality in Salesforce. That is nothing, but you can correlate that with a reminder or an action item. Like we have a reminder in our mobile phones, like we keep that there is an action item on us that we have to do this thing at this particular time. Similarly, for a particular record, we can add some activities like a sort of reminder that for this particular patient, we have to do this thing, or for this particular appointment. This is the action item. This is the follow-up date. We can only add those activities for a particular record if this checkbox is checked for that object. Say I'm trying to add activity for a particular patient and I'm not able to add activity, a sort of reminder for that patient, because for the patient this checkbox is unchecked. In summary, we cannot use activity functionality for a particular object if this checkbox is unchecked. And just to add, here we would be covering each and everything in detail. Like reports is a separate object, topic in like day 10 or 11, we have that topic. Then we have activities, again a separate. Each and everything we would be covering in detailed manner as well. But as we are today creating object and it's a sort of byproduct, while creating that, we are just basing upon them. But we would be covering them in detail going forward. The third thing, we have track field history. Again say I am today creating an object. Tomorrow I would be adding some data for that object. And say for a particular record, I am doing some changes. And if I want that all the changes done by any user on a particular patient should be tracked somewhere in the Salesforce. If I need that feature, those changes will only be tracked if this checked for a particular object. Otherwise, no details would be tracked. That what was the old value, what was the new value, that will only be tracked if I check this checkbox track field history. And then coming on to fourth checkbox, that is allow in chatter groups. Again, chatter group is a feature just like we have Facebook. We have like in Salesforce, they have given a small way to interact with different users. Like you can post a message to a different user in the same environment. We have a mechanism of chatter group. Again, we would be covering that in detail. But in chatter group, I can link a record or user, like I can post a message on a particular record or on a particular user. Unless and until this checkbox is called. Unless and until this checkbox is checked. That means if this checkbox is not checked, I cannot use it for chatter purpose. Like I mentioned, it's a sort of interaction, networking mechanism that Salesforce has provided in Salesforce in form of chatter group. You can add different users and they can interact among themselves. I can post on someone's wall. They can post on my wall. In addition to that, I can post on any record, like any patient record, any appointment record. I can only post if this checkbox is checked. Otherwise, I cannot use that in chatter group. Chatter group, like we would be covering that in very much detail. Chatter group is a sort of like. We have our WhatsApp groups. We have different users at one place. And any message that I post in that group will be shown in that chatter group. I can tag some record. I want that message to be posted on that particular record. I can use some record in my chatter group. Unless and until this checkbox is not checked, I cannot use any record of an object in chatter group. That will not be used directly as a for communication. Like I cannot tag any patient, I cannot tag any. That will only be enabled and we will be verifying each and everything. Like we have detailed topic for chatter group. We have for field history tracking. Everything we will be seeing going through. After that very important section here, that is deployment status. Just make sure to keep it on deployed. Just don't keep it in development. Otherwise, we will not be able to use this object in any of the backend feature, like I'm trying to create a workflow or process builder or any tab for this object. This will not be visible to other users unless and until this is in that deployed state. I cannot create any backend feature on this object unless and until it's in deployed state. With deployed means it's ready for other users. They can see this object. It's ready to be shown to others. And after that, very important feature, that is allow search. What's the relevance of allow search? We have this search bar. And here if I type say test, it will give me all the records from the system where test is there. It can be patient, it can be appointment, any record in the system where test is there. But only those records will be visible where this checkbox is checked. Just check this. We have covered all the important parts while creating new object, like the difference between label and name. Then we have covered all these 4 checkboxes deployed. Allow search, keep everything as it is and click on save. We have created our first object, that is patient detail. That was all about object creation. Now If you see, here in the left hand side we have fields and relationship. Just click on that. Whenever I create an object, these 4 fields I get automatic. Created by, last modified by owner and patient detail name. As of now, I can only store name of a patient. But what if I need to store email? I need to store the source of patient. I need to store status of patient. I need to store other attributes. How can I store other attributes for a particular patient? I don't have fields to carry that field. Fields are nothing but attributes. For each and every attribute, I need to have a field in system. To store the name, we already have a name field, but what about other attributes? If I need to store source of a patient, if I need to store status of a patient, then how to do that? For each and every attribute, I need to have a field in system. If I am creating objects, these 4 fields will be automatically created like as a part of object creation. I have not created that. I have just created an object. And as a byproduct of that, these 4 fields are automatically created. But this is not fulfilling my requirement. Let's open our project. For a patient, I need name, source status, membership ID and email. And currently I have field for name only. What about source status, membership, ID, email? What about that? I need to create 4 more fields. One by one for our understanding purpose, let's create one more field. Let's create membership, ID. To create a new field, click on New. We have here all the field types which are available. Membership ID is a text field. I need to store, like in most organizations, we store membership ID like initials from the first name, last name. We store that as a text field. If I scroll down, we have an option to create text field. Just select that. You can create different types of fields, like you can create lookup, master, detail checkbox, date time form, pick list text. For now, we are interested in creating a text field. Let's select the text. Text is nothing but a string field. Let's select the text, click on Next. Let's give name for that field. What's the name of this field? It's membership ID. Just give name as membership ID. Now coming on to length, like what can be the maximum length? For a safer side, let's keep it 20. You can give it 50, 100, 200. That all depends upon the requirement. Like if I need to store say 100 characters in that field for a particular record, I will keep it 100. But membership ID normally we store as like 5 digits, 6 digits, not more than that. I have like kept it as at 20. You can keep it as 10, 20, 30. Depending upon the requirement. Leave everything as it is. This will be visible to user. And again, these two things can be different as well. I can make it membership name, but for the back end, I can keep membership ID. Depending upon the requirement, what I need to show to the end user. I'll keep that as label and end name, depending upon my requirement. Let's click on Next. Here we have very important screen. This is nothing but FLS field level security for this field. Say I am creating a new field that is membership ID. This screen is asking me like to which profile or to which user. I need to show that there can be a scenario that if you are creating a patient record for you, this field is visible. We can control the visibility of a field. Like say, if user 1 is creating that, user will see that field. User 2 is creating a record for that object. He is not able to see that field. From this screen, we control that behavior. My profile is System Admin. For each and every user, we have a profile in Salesforce. For each and every user, we have a profile. If I need to make sure that only I should be able to see this profile, no one other than me should see this field. I can uncheck it for other profiles and I can make it checked for my profile that say, if you are not admin and you are trying to create a patient, you will not see that field while creating patient. Depending upon the requirement, like to whom we need to show that field, we will be making it available for that user, and for others, we will be making it hidden. Let's keep it visible for everyone for now that any user in my system, if they are trying to create a patient, they will see this field on the patient creation screen. Let's make it visible for all the users. Let's click on Next and finally click on Save. Far we are done with object. Then we have created a new field to store the membership ID for a patient. Now the requirement, like I have created an object, but if I go back to previous screen, I don't like. If I need to create an account, I can click here. If I need to create a content, I can click here. But if I need to create a patient record, where to click, I don't have any link here. Getting my point. See, like these all are different tables. I can create an account record. I can create a contact record. I can create a lead record, but for my particular object, I don't have any link here. Like unless and until a tab is present for an object, we cannot create data for that object from the content. Let's create a tab for this object, patient detail. Let's click on Setup. These all are nothing but tabs. First we have created object. Then we have created field for that object. Now we are creating tab for that object. Let's quickly create tab for that object. From Quick Find, search for tabs. TABS, search for tabs. Click on tabs. Click on New under Custom Object tabs. Click here in front of object. Select your object, that is patient detail. Select the tab style. We have a number of tab styles available. Let's go with the box for now. Click Next. Again click Next and finally click on Save. Now if I click on these dots, just click on these dots and search for your patient detail. We have a tab here, or let's search for patient detail. Click on that. There is a tab created for patient detail. If you can see here opportunities, earlier this tab was not there. Now it is there. If I need to create a new data for a patient, say a patient has visited our hospital and I need to store the data for that patient. How to do that? Just click on New and store the credentials or attributes for that patient. Let's say membership ID is 1, 2, 3, 4 and click on Save. These all are nothing but attributes. You need to create separate field to store those details. For email, email is already there in our project. For to store different attributes, you need to have different fields on that object. One by one, you need to create a different field to store that data for a particular object. If you need to create a new field, click on Edit Object from Setup. Click on Edit Object Fields and Relationships. The way we created membership ID, we have to create. We are done with objects. Then we are done with field. Now we have created tab. Now a very important requirement that normally we get while we start implementation for a particular client. Say I am on this page. I can see different tabs, but what if I need only home and patient detail for now and I don't want to disturb the existing setup? I need to create a new setup or a new application. This is nothing but an application. It is sales application and I need to create a new application where I should only see home and patient detail tab. That's the first for apps. Click on App Manager. Click on New Lightning app. Just give some meaningful name. See, the name of my application is Case Management System. We are creating Case Management System. Let's give name as Case Management System. You can provide some branding, some image if you want. Otherwise, it's an optional field. Click Next. Leave everything as it is. Keep them the standard values. Again, keep this screen as default. It's not important. Now, here we have the important part. I need to show home and patient detail tabs in my application. Just search for those tabs. First we have home. This one is home. Add that in the selected items. Then we have patient detail. Select patient detail. Move it to the selected items. We have selected the required tabs that we need to show to the user. Now click on Next. Now the visibility part, that to which user I need to show this application. Like there can be a possibility that I can make it visible for a particular user and for a particular user I am making it hidden. But just to avoid any complexity, let's make it visible for all the profiles for now. Like any user in my system will be able to see this application. and finally click on the application. Click on these dots. Search for Case Management System. Here we have Case Management System. Click on that. Now a screen will be open with only 2 tabs, not more than the required tabs. I can click on Patients. I can create new data for my patients. I can go to Home page, but other than that, I'm not interested in other tabs, and that's why I'm able to see only 2 tabs. That is how we create application. We started our journey today with creation of object. Object is nothing for a particular system. We started with creating patient object. Then I created membership. I defilled for that object. Then we created tab for that object. What was the need for creation of tab to add the data and system? I can only do that if and only if I have tab for that object. Finally, we created application and we only added home and our tab, the newly created tab, that is patient detail in our application. These were the 4 topics that we need to cover for today. Like I mentioned, that initial some sessions would be like we would be on very slow pace. We would be starting some like very light content. No need to rush because we are starting from very beginning, very scratch. Just go through these topics. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.